Saint Andrew the Apostle, saint of fishermen. Saint Anthony of Padua. Saint Anthony of Padua, saint of lost and stolen items. Saint Rita of Cassia. Saint Rita of Cassia, saint of impossible. Saint Carlo Acutis. Saint Carlo Acutis, saint of the intellect. Saint Martha of Bethany. Saint Jacinta and Saint Francisco Marto of Fatima. Saint Jacinta and Saint Francisco Marto of Fatima, saints of the sick people, captives, prisoners, and people who are ridiculed for their piety. Saint Joseph Vaz. Saint Joseph Vaz, son of Goa, patron saint of Sri Lanka, saint of missionaries, interreligious relations, and first responders. Saint Cecilia of Rome. Saint Cecilia of Rome, saint of music, musicians, and poets. Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta, saint of World Youth Day, the missionaries of charity, and the Archdiocese of Calcutta. Saint Jude the Apostle. Saint Jude the Apostle, saint of hopeless and impossible causes. Saint Anna and Saint Jogi. Saint Anna and Saint Jogi, saint of grandparents. Saint Martha of Bethany. Saint Martha of Bethany, saint of homemakers, cooks, servants, and those who practice hospitality. Saint Maria Goretti of Italy. Saint Maria Goretti of Italy, saint of charity, purity, great victims, and forgiveness. Saint Thomas the Apostle. Faustina is the apostle of divine mercy. Saint Teresa of the Child Jesus. Saint Teresa of the Child Jesus is the saint of patience and tolerance, also called the little flower of Jesus. Saint Joseph, the foster father of Jesus. Saint Joseph